Case law, study methods for law school students. The University of London presented a very thorough law school study method that law students can draw upon for purposes of their own legal studies, which we have undertaken to adapt for purposes of a broader application to legal studies irrespective of one's location. Your main objective is to understand the principles that have been laid down in the leading cases and to learn how to apply those principles to a given set of facts. Leading cases are typically set out in the case materials and assigned textbooks for the specific law course, together with any other, generally more recent cases, cited by the law school professor. At a more practical level, the leading cases are those which a law school professor would probably expect the well-prepared law school student to know about. In the nature of things, just as different law school professors will refer to different selections of cases, there can be no absolutely definitive list of such cases. However, there will always be agreement on the importance of many of the cases, and in general terms, core cases are named in your course materials. Nevertheless, you need to be cognizant of pre-established materials and what is actually taught, such there might be omissions from the initial materials, which should not be taken to mean that a case is not worth knowing. It is suggested that the study of the cases should be approached in the following steps. 1. Read the relevant section of the course, explain the legal aspect the case law is seeking to address in the module or course guide. 2. Read the relevant passages of the assigned text, casebook, or materials provided by the law school professor. It may also be advisable to examine some cases in full following this. 3. Reread the relevant passages in text, casebook, or provided materials. 4. Attempt to complete and answer any relevant activities and/or self-assessment questions that are provided. 5. Repeat this process for each section such that you are confident on the legal principles being addressed by the case law. A further description of the process in each of these steps is set out in further detail below. Step 1. Start with the relevant section of the module guide. This will give an idea of the points you need to look for. Take one section at a time. Do not try to digest several at once. Step 2. Read the textbook passage referred to. Look in particular for the cases upon which the author places special emphasis. Typically, these will be decisions of higher courts, which have gone through the appeals process. Read the cases in the casebook, together with any other mentioned in the module course guide, particularly the more recent ones. You should generally be able to find the cases online. The importance of reading the primary materials of law, cases on legislation, cannot be overemphasized. Learn as much as possible about each case. Make a special effort to remember the correct names of the parties, the courts which decided the case, the essential facts, the ratio decidendi, and any important obiter dicta. It is also important to note any other striking features, such as, for example, the existence of a strong dissenting judgment, the overruling of previous authority, or apparent inconsistency with other cases. It is most important that you understand not only what the court has decided, but also why it has decided that. Knowing the rules is not enough. It is essential to study the judgments and understand the reasoning which led the court in a particular case to uphold the arguments of the successful party and reject the contentions put forward, no doubt persuasively, on behalf of the unsuccessful party. It is also important to be critical when studying the cases. Ask yourself whether the result produces injustice or inconvenience, whether there are any situations in which you would not want the result to apply, and if so, how they could be distinguished. If it is an older case, you should also ask yourself whether the reasoning has been overtaken by changes in social and commercial life generally. Lastly, pay attention to the impact of other cases in the area. How strong is an authority in light of subsequent decisions? Step 3. Read the textbook passage again and ask yourself, does the book statement of the effects of the cases correspond with my impressions of them? If it does not, read the cases again. Step 4. If there are further activities and/or self-assessment questions related to the particular case, work through these activities and questions. These are intended not only to build up your knowledge of the material, but also to provide you with an opportunity to measure your knowledge and understanding of the particular section. An activity requires you to think about a particular question and prepare an answer which extends beyond a simple yes or no. Review any feedback that is provided for these activities at the end of the guide. Meanwhile, self-assessment questions are designed to test your memory of the material that you've been covered. With both forms of exercise, you will find that your knowledge is enhanced if you complete the exercises as you encounter them in the particular section. Step 5, repeat the process for each section of the chapter in turn. Thank you.